gentle children of the infinite and unfailing light of God, I greet you tonight in this city of light, Wilmington, and I say to the students here, your beloved Saint Germain is never concerned with numbers, but with dedication, and therefore the dedication which you yourselves have evidenced in your hearts is itself a badge of courage that shall see you through those days which lie ahead, wherein a requirement of the great cosmic law shall make it possible for you too to render your assistance in the cause of unfailing service and for mankind. I look tonight backward in time to past civilizations when mankind knew a more kindly and friendly manner towards one another than that which is evidenced today across the face of the earth. I look back toward the wondrous golden ages of the past, when the great temples of wisdom were honored by every child, from the earliest footsteps taken by the gentle ministrations of a mother's love and a father's kindly care and consideration. Today, by reason of the synthetic influences of civilization, mankind have become removed in their consciousness from an awareness of all that God intends. There has been forced upon this civilization artificial instructions and ideas which in themselves cannot possibly raise mankind toward their ascension. But as I am speaking to you tonight, the ascended masters are preparing at inner levels to bestow more and more spiritual grace to mankind, regardless of the fact that many of them are unaware that we exist. You see, beloved ones, those of us who abide in the higher octaves serve the great law of Christ's radiance with all of the devotion of our heart, and we behold the extension of that great law into far-reaching octaves of light, far beyond mortal ken, where we ourselves even lose sight of the transcendent ladder of light leading into the infinite and progressive initiations administered by God Himself from out the great central sun. But we also simultaneously, with gazing upward into those far reaches of expansion of the soul, gaze down upon those evolutions below, and we do it with a caress of our love. The stimuli of the divine flame as it pulsates in our being cannot ignore or bypass the calls made from the human octave for assistance. Beloved ones, as some of you tread softly, lest you crush the tiny body of an ant, so we ourselves, in our ministrations towards mankind, tread softly and gently with our radiation and the power which heaven has given to us, that we may always invoke from your blessed souls those responses which will raise you toward godhood, toward compassion, toward great character in the mind of God abiding. Do you see, beloved ones, that all wisdom is contained within the flame of your heart? The flame that is within your heart is God, and in that flame every quality of God abides. Gentility, sweetness, kindness, ineffable love, that love which like a welder's acetylene torch cuts through the hard casings which mankind have placed around themselves to defend their own questionable virtue, is cut aside by this torch of discerning divine love, and mankind are then able to feel the pressures and attention of the higher octaves, because we have removed from their consciousness those old incrustations and hatreds which have never brought them their freedom and never would. Precious ones of the light, today among mankind there are very few like Saint Germain in embodiment. Some of you may know that there was a race upon this planet that was graced and blessed with violet eyes. You have seen blue eyes and brown eyes, and various shades, and yet some of you did not know that a race existed having violet eyes. This represents the great quality of divine mercy. As I stand before you today, I leave it to the probing and searching gaze of your own being to determine the color of mine. But I hope that you will realize that I am fully charged with the great quality of cosmic mercy, and that it is my desire to extend those sun-gold rays of divine illumination into your worlds, which can be woven into a spiritual ladder. You see, beloved ones, every bit of spiritual information which ever comes to your hand comes for a purpose, that it may be woven into a spiritual ladder upon which your gentle souls may climb. As you climb, you are not expected to climb alone. You are expected to extend backwards to those beneath you, as it were, in spiritual evolution, a gentle hand of assistance, that they too may rise as you do, and so the mighty chain and the links of light leading upward toward the heart of God in the great central sun are extended and reach the farthest portions of this earth, and none are left without assistance. Beloved ones, if mankind knew the extent of their own peril, do you not think that they would call themselves for a release of our great light? And if they knew to whom to call, do you not think that they would do it? Beloved ones, you are given a priceless opportunity to call for those who know not, that you may extend to them in their own shadowed state of consciousness a ray of light and love's own transcendence. You see, love always transcends itself, for love is the fulfilling of the law of Christ, and it is the gentle burden of eternity. You, beloved ones, are natives of God's universe. You are natives of the heavenly octaves, transplanted here upon this planet that you might evolve towards your own godhood, made a little lower than the angels, yet intended to be crowned with more glory than they. You are given the power of free will and choice, whereby you yourselves may accept the graces of heaven. And as you accept them within your own feeling world, you make those graces your own. And then it is not a simple conferment whereby, as a fairy godmother waving a magic wand, confers upon an individual some specific quality of grace, but rather that you yourselves, through the free will power of choice and election, have made your own calling and election sure by choosing to pursue the spiritual path and accept the momentous decisions which are laid before you on the pathway of initiation, leading ever upward on the cosmic stairs, a spiral stairway rising into light and to love. The angels of God descend and ascend upon these stairways, and it is up to you, beloved ones, to recognize the ministration and service which they give. As the hours of your life pass by, the temporal life which you experience here, you must recognize that each moment is intended to be a chalice moment, wherein the precious wisdom of eternity is enshrined. Upon the altars of your own hearts, it is intended that the flame of life shall pulsate and rise, resurrecting the physical atoms of your body, regenerating your consciousness, restoring you to your own divine state, which you knew with God before the world of form was, and bringing to you such peace as mankind has never known in their outer state, but can only know by reason of their identification with the heart of their own divine self. As I speak to you tonight, I ask that the violet flame angels of Saint Germain shall blaze a special quality of the sacred fire around and about your being, so that you may feel great release and pressure of assistance from the higher octaves, which will cut you free from all of those vibratory actions of doubt, whereby mankind wonders whether this light is truly emanating from our octave. Beloved ones, this light is not a light of human creation. It is the radiation which I myself stepped down so gently at first, but which I am now raising to a greater degree, desiring to bring it to a spiritual crescendo which will bring about a release in your feeling worlds of the pressures of centuries of human discord. Beloved ones, you long to know a feeling of divine freedom. Your souls long to express the power of light as light itself expresses in those reaches of eternity where light is bid welcome. Here upon this earth, by reason of mankind's own ideas, which run counter to divine ideals, mankind have closed their doors against the beautiful light of God. They do not realize their own action which takes place, nor do they recognize the fact that we exist, and yet all of this is truth. Beloved ones, you must recognize a need to call for them, that their eyes may be opened, that they may be able to perceive truth. Someone called for you, and therefore your eyes are partially open, that you are able to accept some new idea pertaining to the kingdom of God. Well, beloved ones, when all the stones of human creation are rolled away from the tombs of error, mankind will arise in a new resurrection and spiritual regeneration to perceive the mighty power of light that is able to restore to man his own birthright, the birthright of immortality. You were not intended, beloved ones, to express either the pains of death or illness in your physical forms. Nowhere in your consciousness was it ever the desire of God to see aught expressed but the love of light, and the light of God was intended to crown your brow with a radiance such as the goddess of liberty wears upon hers. Beloved ones, the seven mighty rays depicted in her crown, as it stands a monument to that beloved ascended being in New York Harbor, speaks to mankind of a new freedom, speaks of a torch held beside a golden door. You, beloved ones, then must recognize that all of the great golden ages of the past, whereby mankind knew the glories of the higher octaves, is a quality which it is the will of God should descend to this planet today. And why, beloved ones, does it not manifest? Simply because of the outer action of shadow. and the children of shadow, who unwittingly and ignorantly oppose the expansion of the greater light. Precious ones of the light of God does not fail. The light of God does not fail. The light of God does not fail. And your own mighty I Am presence is that light. Do you think, beloved ones, when I descended into the far reaches of the earth's atmosphere and perceived the little cluster of light's radiance that shone round about the home wherein I am speaking, that I did not recognize that there rose from your hearts the pulsations of desire to receive some word from our octaves? We perceived it. I perceived it. Heaven perceived it. And the answer, beloved ones, has been given in a chord of divine harmony, released into your feeling world. You do not know in its entirety all that is being done for you. Some of you know me not. You are not familiar with Vevishvata Manu. You know not that I am what I am. But that does not matter, for I am not concerned with the outer action of the law in your own minds. I am concerned with the great inner action of that law that sweeps away the debris and accumulation of ages of ignorance and lack of spiritual discernment. Your hearts, beloved ones, desire to know more of the sacred fire, and that is enough, for with this desire we are able to bestow our ministrations upon you and bring you that divine comfort which can be expanded as a coal from heaven's altars can be breathed upon by our Lord the Mahachohan, until by the power of the Holy Spirit the tiny coal is fanned to become a flame. The flame expands, rising higher and higher. And in this birth of regenerative power, the stimulus is perceived to give mankind the will and the wisdom and the love to desire to pursue to greater length this magnificent spiritual path that leads to godhood, to overcoming victory, to compassion extended without limit to mankind. Mankind today yearn to know the truth, but know not from whence the source of this yearning comes. Mankind today have in their hearts much trouble, which they themselves recognize exists, but they know not a source of deliverance. In their religious activities throughout the world, they seek and receive much comfort to assuage their grief. But the fullness of that comfort which wipes away every tear from their eyes is only beheld locked in the heart, embrace of their own mighty divine presence. Their own mighty I Am presence is the source of the release that for all time will show them that God dominion over their worlds, which will make them one with us, one with their Holy Christ self, one with all mankind, which will usher in the great golden age, and will bring to every little child the hope of heaven, which it is the will of God to confer upon all. Beloved ones, be at ease in your feeling worlds concerning any perils that may be manifesting upon this planet or in your own personal world. Beloved ones, does it truly make any difference? For the great power of light is sufficient to the day of any evil that may attempt to manifest. And the power of light is able to extend great healing wings over the life of every man, woman, and child upon earth, until beneath the banner of God victory, all tears, all sorrow, all discomforts are wiped away by the great enfolding love that is God. How can it be otherwise? Is God not a consuming fire? And it is not then the wish of God to consume in mankind all those qualities which are less than himself. All qualities of human vanity ought to be consumed by this mighty tide of rising light that pulsates within you. Precious ones, your own heart's altars are graced by God. Bow to this divine self within you. Bow to the Holy Spirit. whose precious gifts are conferred upon you. Bow to your own divine presence and bow to the God in all. Thus shall you be raised from any status of humility until he who sits in the heavens shall enthrone you by his side and upon his right hand, giving you the dominion and the power and the glory which he would confer upon every son of his own heart. You are children of his light. You are children of his love. We, your elder brothers, are guiding you today with the light that comes from his heart, from God's heart. This light is one. Know then that God shall break down the middle wall of partition and shall bring to all people everywhere the fullness of eternal redemption. But it shall not happen by chance or by accident, but by the dedication of many hearts to the immortal flame of love. My word to you tonight is to remain faithful to his light and love, the love that created from the formless void all things and made them to be sustained for eternal purposes, inviolate in the heavens. Be at peace then today, for the rainbow covenant of immortal light extends its reaches throughout the earth, and all shall know me, saith the Lord, from the least unto the greatest. All shall know the peace that like a gentle rain falls from heaven unto the earth beneath, to bring to the parched ground that for which it thirsteth, the waters of life's eternal redemption. As the gentle streams throughout the earth carry the moisture, precious ones, it is all for a purpose. Planetary veins and arteries, the mighty tides of the ocean, the currents of love flowing from heart to heart, are all part of one vast radiance of the light in manifest form. For the light takes many forms, some slow of tempo, and some more rapidly falling, but all for a purpose, that man may rise into the glories of his ascension, free from all discord, free from all pain and anguish, and one with the heart of his divine self, whose great, dazzling, enfolding light surrounds all today and forever with its holy purposes, breathing out then the flame of that love that knows no limitation, that cannot be denied its expression, that will sustain for all time. Grace, world without end. May the cross of white fire sustain you. May the cross of light hold you in the never-failing light of God. May the arms of your presence keep you blessed. Thank you and good evening. destiny. I am here today to flood through your consciousness all of that blessedness which bids you welcome to the divine intent as you pass through the doorway that leads to your immortal freedom. You will no longer be wedded to those wrong conceptions of mortal consciousness which have kept men bound to the rounds of human evolution for millenniums. In the holy name of freedom, examine your own cities, teeming with beauty, but surrounded with wretchedness, in so much so that human misery and suffering continues unabated, while ministering angelic hands and human hands seek to assuage that grief which manifests as a result both of the karmic law and of the long-standing recalcitrant status of the children of this planet. I am come today as a day star flashing through the heavens, as a flaming meteor of power bearing the edicts of emancipation towards mankind. But all that has been done, all that man shall do in the future, is that which shall determine the victory of this planet and its blessed people. Heaven's purpose is immortal. From the very first day of creation to the present hour, have always been benign, and so the angelic beings, the cosmic masters, and all of us have continued to render a service to mankind. Today we are aided and abetted by those dedicated chelas and friends of Saint Germain, my beloved, who have dedicated themselves to the cause of freedom. Let them now, one and all, take increased devotion to that cause for which he gave his last full measure of devotion, and let men, one and all, summon from the great soul treasures of their own reserve power of spiritual fortitude the necessary, grandiose, if you will, dramatic, if you will, but dedicated energies which shall give to mankind the freedom which the law of life would bestow upon them, and which their hearts, mournful at times, have cried for, and which hopefully at other hours have sought earnestly and in truth. As I stand before you this day to address you, as much as my love is for you, it is also a love for the world, a love for every child of life. Those so-called homeless individuals, in God's name, are not without a home. A home is prepared for them, one and all. A home is prepared for you. Mankind, by reason of human thought and feeling, do not see clearly the divine plan today. And because they are bereft of immortal knowing and divine compassion, they frequently are turned aside from the track of reason, or by reason of vanity They move aside from the path that leads to their liberation. And always, ever and anon, comes the karmic edict of their own creating, declaring to them, I request balance. It is not a matter of the idea embodied in the Merchant of Venice. It is not the idea of the pound of flesh. The law does not seek retributive justice. The law seeks mercy. But the law, beloved ones, is so frequently administered by your own selves that you do not realize that you are not actually being judged by God and His great cosmic law nearly so much as you are being judged by the laws you yourselves have created and by your own free will have sustained. In some cases you have created these in ignorance, and then it is that latent free will within you which is sustaining them. You may not be aware of the fact that it is yourselves that is sustaining these unwanted conditions. And I therefore urge the students of this great light to continually study, that they may show themselves approved unto God. At this time, it is my earnest desire to call to the attention of the students the facts that any number of root races and races are manifesting their life forces upon this planet. Dear hearts, one monad flashes into existence in a physical body as an infant, as a mewing kitten. It comes forth unto life upon this planet, and the tenure of man's days is short. By reason of this, and by reason of the great law of rebirth, mankind frequently do not realize until too late in life all of the necessary knowledge which they ought. Many do not realize even late in life, and I refer here to one embodiment, all that they ought of the great law. Beloved ones, how great a percentage do you think of the mankind of earth have the knowledge of the law of life such as you do here? Is it not quite natural then that having a warped and curious understanding of the universe, there should be great distress throughout this planet? The ideas of men are molding factors, beloved ones, in their existence here below. Divine ideas are the molding factors of their existence above. But because their energies drawn from above are in the main utilized here below, mankind do not realize the treasures of heaven until they win their ascension. Oh, I acknowledge to you, beloved hearts, that you know in part, and that you see in part. But measure the knowledge given to you by the knowledge mankind today have in the ordinary philosophies of life and in those orthodox concepts which are popularized by mankind and therefore embraced by the multitudes. Beloved ones, Popularity will not win you your freedom. And yet, we would make popular the ascended master teachings if we could, in order to encourage mankind to find their freedom. Remember, beloved ones, the law of the net. I will make you fishers of men. In the days of Aquarius, when the water-bearer symbol comes into the fullness of its operation, the cooperative power of heaven and earth shall show mankind how to bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. There is yet a remnant of the consciousness of Pisces manifesting upon this planet, and the great net that draws men to embrace spiritual truth remains cast out upon the waters and multitudes of humanity in order to catch them in the net and draw them to their own divinity. There are many individuals upon this planet who consider themselves very wise, and so they slip consciously through this net and are amazed because they have their freedom, not knowing that that which they have is not truly freedom at all, but the most dreadful form of bondage. Some time ago, we released information during a class held in Canada concerning an order which we desired to establish to work in the astral regions in order to free those individuals who would pay no heed to the ordinary precepts of spirituality while upon earth, and who, being bereft of body and form, found themselves in very frightful conditions. This was a request made in mercy. I call to your attention as spokesman for the Great Karmic Board that this organization, regardless of the fact that many hands have been pledged to its service, has not had sufficient hours, energies, or a release of its needs met so that all of the requirements of spiritual endeavors which we would establish could be brought forth. I say this in no spirit of criticism, but I say it as a message of deliverance, to deliver those who have served loyally and well from any sense of an overpowering responsibility. We wait the establishment of this order, wherein those students specifically charged by the great cosmic beings and ascended masters of light will be able to go forth to assist mankind who are bound in this net of psychic and astral delusion. The frightful aspects of the psychic world are a problem to a great deal of the populace. And while I am speaking to you today, I would like to call to your attention that the life streams here upon this planet represent but a portion of the evolutions of this planet. I would like to call to your attention that there are millions unborn at the portals of birth waiting to find expression here, and that there are millions who are constantly passing from the screen of life into that realm. It is not our wish to forget them. They are children of God, whether in the body or out of the body. And simply because the grinding wheels of karma
seem to have almost ruthlessly demolished the life plan so nobly conceived in the mind of God, does not mean that they are to be forsaken. I raise my torch in honor of them. God too had hope for them when they were nobly conceived. I stood with Mother Mary and watched the consecration of each child, each life stream, as it was brought forth in wondrous divine design. And now, beloved ones, in that realm where imperfection yet abides, myriads, life streams, and souls abide. As you move among the crowded streets of this world, as you see the ships plying the sea filled with passengers, as you observe the trains of the multitude of cars traveling the highways, and you ponder the fact that you were not always here, bear in mind that in that past time you too were out of the physical body, and some of you will be again, and awaiting to find a physical body to complete the consecration of your ascension. Beloved ones, pay attention then to the liberation of the refuse of humanity, who indeed are trapped in the midst of psychic ruble. These too are children of the light. They deserve your attention, not through spiritualistic phenomena, not through seeking to find counsel from them, many of whom could not find their own freedom while in the body, but through making calls so that they will be cut free from those octaves and rise from the chains of human creation which bind them. This is the service which the Christ rendered during the 3 days he slept in the tomb. He descended into that realm of the astral and cut free multitudes of those individuals. This is a service to which I would urge that you pay attention to, for there flows into the world today and into your civilization of the present a tremendous reflection of this astral rubble. I call to your attention the iceberg. You see the peak of this iceberg, but you know that perhaps as much as 4/5 of it is beneath the sea, submerged, hidden, and not revealed. Do you know the cause and core of mankind's conflict today? It does not all abide in the outer world. It is not the sole responsibility of those now presently in embodiment. Much of the conflict emanates from the astral residue. Those individuals who live dangerously and make contact with the lower astral deliberately, or those individuals who innocently are trapped there, find most difficult situations which they encounter. Fortunately, some of them are familiar with their tube of light and the violet fire, and these are able to find their freedom and escape. There is much knowledge needed by mankind. There is much service that ought to be rendered to mankind concerning this very factor. It is a factor in your life, beloved ones. For if you make your ascension, then you have escaped. If you do not make it for any reason whatsoever, bear in mind that you too individually must face this condition in due course of time. So then it does concern everyone. And if you are so fortunate as to make your ascension, beloved ones, I am certain that the dedication of your heart will be one with my own, and will beat for those who are tired, who are poor, who are wretched in the astral realms, and would find their way back to the heart of God. Some of these cannot come into manifestation in the physical form at present simply because of karmic reasons. They have been denied access to the portals of birth, and they must wait many a year before they shall be given a body. You who have a body have opportunity. This is God's opportunity. For here in that body, the purposes of God identify with reason. The threefold flame is a balanced condition. It is a balanced radiation in the divine plan. The love, wisdom, and power of God flashes forth in perfect purity. This balanced condition enables man in the physical realm to work out his salvation with fear and trembling and obtain the gift of eternal liberty. Then, beloved ones, this realm becomes the temple of man's initiation, whereby he is enabled to find his freedom. The blessings of life are not given to mankind to dawdle away, to waste time in the foolish outer trivialities of life without ever finding the realities of life. And yet, for millenniums, mankind have practiced this deceit on themselves. The goddess of justice is not blind. It is mankind who wear the blindfold. May they take it off and perceive the golden statue of pure holy reason standing before them unveiled. In this light of pure holy reason, may men recognize the law of the circle. O divine love, that will never let those children of thy heart escape from the extended radiation of thy love, reaching to the very periphery of life. Call to the earth today, to every beating heart, in the holy name of liberty, to return to their divine source and to urge all mankind to return, that the great golden ages of the past may come again, that every child entering the portals of birth may come into a home where love and understanding and the divine law is taught from the earliest age, where kneeling before God is considered an honor, not a disgrace. O mankind of earth, amongst the turmoil and turbulence of human problems, arise to your immortal destiny. I have called you children of immortal destiny, and it is so. But it is so for the earth, not for you alone. And so you go forth to serve, wearing upon your hearts the insignia of divine service. As the spokesman for the great karmic board this day, I am determined to give to every one of you that will receive it the inner symbol of Saint Germain's fleur-de-lis. And so today I have been permitted to place on your finer bodies a special symbol known as the Order of the Golden Lily. And I shall place this over your heart. And I refer now to those who will help me to lift the torch for mankind. This Order of the Golden Lily is directly related to the fleur-de-lis and is the inner symbol of it. For the stalk is drawn down, which denotes that the source itself is one, and that the tripartite flame of liberty is always balanced in holy reason with the will and love of God. But all are united in action by connection to a common source and rise towards a common radiance. O beloved ones, as you lift your torch to lift mankind, bear in mind then that the service must of necessity include those out of the body. This is not a spiritualistic activity of which I am speaking. It is a holy office to deliver mankind from all forms of necromancy and invocation connected with those sordid spirits which do not understand the great law. I shall not deny today your blessed hearts the privilege of speaking to you truth. You know that every soul is created pure. You know that it is sinless before God and without error. And yet you know from reading your daily newspapers, beloved one, that the earth is full of murderers and deceitful people who will not hesitate to wreak havoc and destruction. How do you reconcile this, beloved ones? It is simply, as you know, a matter of misguided free will and ignorance in most cases. It is true, however, that there are a few tools of the black magicians still operating upon this planet, and through their sinful ministrations to mankind, they do occasionally cause the students of the light some difficulty. But I urge everyone who wears this golden lily upon their heart to recognize that they have my power. And if you will in consciousness call unto me and to your own mighty I am presence and holy Christ self, and recognize that you are one who lifts the lamp of life in order to be a way shower to mankind both here below and those in the psychic and astral realms, you will realize that you are working with the angels of deliverance and with Archangel Michael. The time has come now when we shall reveal to the keepers of the flame fraternity much greater vital knowledge concerning these factors of which I am speaking. And so I kept this essential idea of cosmic liberty till toward the very end of your program, in order that as you go home it might be the crowning keynote and cornerstone in the freedom of mankind. I hope and I believe that you will by meditation understand what I am conveying to you today. I am conveying a most essential message of light and liberty and life. Life is God, as you were told early in this session by beloved Serapis Bey. But, beloved ones, you must acknowledge that God purity can only be invoked by consistent application and not by happenstance. When man received from the hand of his own mighty I am presence the power of free will by which he could weave his own immortal destiny, and find that he was now not only made a little lower than the angels, but crowned with more glory and honor, he was given the solemn responsibility of utilizing the power of holy reason in order to forge for himself his own divinity and emancipate himself from his own self-forged chains. And therefore today, by the light of holy illumination, in lifting this torch to free the tired, the poor, and those individuals who seek freedom and liberty, I am calling to you to do this service. As I speak to you, there are men and women in this audience who have suffered from psychic and spiritualistic phenomena, as well as dabbling in those arts which they themselves acknowledge are error. Those individuals' hearts are swelling with gratitude toward their own mighty I am presence and Saint Germain for the freedom and release which he gave to them and has given to mankind. Do you realize then, beloved ones, that all of the foment of delusion which mankind presently suffer from must be stopped by the action of the great law in lifting the torch of life? How do you suppose, beloved ones, this great nation was trapped and deceived to permit the Cuban Revolution to take such monstrous forms as it does at present? Beloved ones, do you realize that there, where Lord Zadkiel holds his very focus on that island intended to be an island of light, is a focus and nest of tools of the black magicians, which must be cleaned out. I tell you, beloved ones, this action must be done in order for America to retain the fullness of her freedom. And that is why today, as I lift high my torch, I call these matters to your attention. For all of these cancers upon the body of the world must be healed by the power of the divine light, and mankind must stand guard and protect the earth from those conditions. Beloved, K-17 has stood so vigilantly for the assistance of this planet and for the assistance of America. I am speaking to you as a mother. I am speaking to you as a cosmic mother, and I am warning you as God's children how you can better assist the divine plan. There is reason, holy reason behind my every word. You will do well, and I know you feel this in your hearts, to heed these words and to tie your energies into your own mighty I Am presence and to the great white brotherhood, so that you can assist the unfolding of the divine plan and the cleansing of this blessed planet from every vestige and trace of its shadowed substance. Then my torch will burn clear through the holy air, and the angelic host will bear the precious essence of liberty as a cup to all nations, and all nations shall drink of the fount, and Saint Germain himself shall step through the veil, and mankind shall know the rule of divine law as the golden rule lifted before the golden door of each man's true identity. Yea, beloved, I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Watch the coming days for the releases in the pearls of wisdom and in the keepers of the flame. Watch for the releases in our addresses when we shall release greater knowledge to you concerning how America and the world can find their absolute freedom and God dominion. This shall come about through organized concepts and efforts directed toward heaven, toward home. Heaven is your home, and the torch blazes brightly there. The All-Father of life has in his hands for the prodigal son the great golden chain that will cause that son to forever be united to the Father. And he himself will cause that son to be seated at his right hand, where peace and love and honor will blaze in the kingdom of God forever, which shall shine forth like the sun in the kingdom of the Father. Peace, then, dear hearts, won't you please be seated? I wish to continue for a little space yet in the interest of pouring out the depth of this great cosmic instruction. Beloved ones, you have a twofold action then. The action that you must take is to free mankind outwardly from the power of imposed false human law and teach them the great precepts of truth of their own mighty I Am presence and the law of life. But you must serve to relieve the tensions and pressures flowing into this world from the astral and psychic realms. And therefore I am urging the students to recognize the need to once again call forth the entity decree. And I ask that the entity decree in new form be created soon after this class and passed out to the students, that those actions shall go forth to protect the student body, to protect America, to protect the world, and to protect the universe from the depredations of those who have not in the past outpictured God's law, and to whom we say, come home, come home, come home. Good afternoon. spirits of infinite light, I am come this day to greet this planetary home, to greet this home which God has loved and which God loves. Peace be unto thee then, in the holy name of God, the light of God that does not fail, the light of infinite compassion, which is so beloved by every angel, is spread abroad over the face of the entire earth, like a mantle of snow covering the mountain tops. So the peace of God is spread over men's hearts. However, by reason of human recalcitrance, by reason of human ignorance, and by reason of a host of ideas, all which are rooted in human consciousness and human creation, mankind have made it exceedingly difficult for the ministrations of the angelic host. We come forth and charge our radiation, and we charge our abundance into the atmosphere of this planet. But mankind themselves often overlook the blessed radiation which we pour forth. Mankind often, in their own blindness, do not perceive that which is being done in the holy name of God. Now at first, beloved ones, the thought may occur to you that simply because you do not pay any attention to spiritual matters, they can go on anyway. Well, beloved ones, this is not always true, for the efficacious action of divine power is made manifest in human acceptance of the gifts and graces of the angelic host. Beloved ones, you have a door upon your heart, and if you keep that door closed to your own divine presence, toward the love that flows forth from your fellow men, you cannot bask in the sunlight and radiance of their love. You yourselves have the power to shut the door that connects you between other parts of life. And, beloved ones, you must then understand the fullness of this mystery of the I am the open door which no man can shut. You must understand how that your own mighty I am presence must be continuously invoked, not invoked one moment and then forgotten about and ignored the next. You have called to me this day to shed forth light upon the coming golden age, and to pour forth my assistance in that manifestation. Well, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the powers of heaven have never taken a back seat. Mankind may do so. They may let their feelings be hurt by reason of some triviality, but the angelic host must always submit to whatsoever mankind desires to do to them. You may ignore us, you may forget us, but we do not forget you. You may do whatsoever you will. You may forget God, but God does not forget you. And therefore it is in this consciousness that I come to you this day to quicken within you the pulsations of those mighty currents of the blue ray, and to charge forth the power of Hercules into your midst. Beloved ones, the mighty Elohim Hercules, together with myself, have such an indomitable love for mankind. We would, if it were possible, take you all now and lift you into those spheres and octaves of light which would cause you to have unlimited happiness forever. But the great karmic law and the laws governing the manifestations of life must be heeded, and no one is able to violate them. Beloved ones, when the great divine director uttered his fiat long ago, you must remember to set aside the old occult law, that this was done with the approval of heaven, and it was done with the approval of the great karmic board, and by cosmic law, not contrary to it. Some of the students have called for various manifestations to be brought forth upon the screen of life which are contrary to cosmic law, and because they are not manifesting, they are sometimes troubled in their hearts. Well, I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, let not your hearts be troubled, for we hear your requests and we act on them according to the wisdom and power of heaven, not according to the ideas and concepts which may flow from human reason throughout the ages. Beloved ones, the precious mind and divine idea, the treasure which God has given to you to charge with a flame of golden illumination, is a great treasure. But, beloved ones, you must accept this treasure and understand that the power of God must flow through in accordance with the divine symbology of spiritual law. You cannot expect that the world itself is going to change simply because you wish it to do so. You must, beloved ones, recognize that the power to pass through this door is a power that comes to each one alone, and the doorway to initiation must ever be entered through each one's own mighty I Am presence, through each one's own identity, and then through the identity of God, man will find reunion with every other monad of the sacred fire. O beloved ones, the angels of my band are rejoicing today in the manifestation of your love and devotion paid to me and to that divine complement, faith. Beloved ones, I tell you that faith is wonderful to behold at our levels, for faith is indeed the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of that which is not yet in manifestation. And therefore, as you have held your faith, so the miracles of cosmic Christ's law have been perfected. I say now to that blessed individual who has long awaited healing in this audience, remember, beloved ones, that one individual received a healing during this class by the ascended masters, and more than one. And I tell you that you have great faith, but it requires yet some strengthening of that faith in order to manifest that which is the desire of your heart. But I tell you that God has not denied, if mankind will recognize that the great cosmic law and the law of karma must always act and be fulfilled according to the divine plan. However, by the strengthening of faith, miracles of deliverance do occur to mankind, and the great law sometimes is set aside through the power of men's faith. But this is always with the approval of heaven itself, and not against that approval. Ladies and gentlemen, children of the sacred fire, children of the sun, children of the early civilizations, assistants of the evolutions of heaven, assistants of the ascended masters, assistants of the cosmic evolutions, assistants of the divine plan fulfilled, recognize how that assembled here today are many souls who have served with us from the earliest time in the freeing of mankind, and in that great fraternal bond of love that flows between your hearts, there shall come forth a new birth of freedom upon the earth. I declare it, beloved ones, in God's holy name I am. It cannot fall to the earth. It cannot be broken, for it is a fiat uttered by the mouth of an archangel in God's holy name and in accordance with the great cosmic law. The blazing light of God in all the fullness of its power is the only power whatsoever that can give mankind their freedom, that can cut every single heart free. My sword of blue flame today is active, and I am blazing it forth as I am speaking to you to cut you free from the accumulation which has trailed you far too long and shall not trail you, I decree it, into that cosmic home of glory. It shall be cut free from you and fall as dross at your feet, and you shall stand then before God to know, and I say to know, how much he has loved you. Beloved ones, the love of Almighty God is your own. Claim that love for your own, and you have the power of an archangel yourself. You do not realize the power that there is in a fiat uttered by a simple chela of the ascended host. When that chela has invoked the mighty blue flame radiance in the holy name of God, do you think that I myself own the blue flame? Do you think that it is something that I myself would shelter within the pinions of my being and would not give unto you freely? I say unto you, my sword of blue flame is yours for the asking. Will you render a service to the hosts of light? Then call for my sword of blue flame to manifest in your own right hand, and utilize it, beloved ones. Swing it around you daily. Use it upon others who are involved in conditions they cannot cut themselves free from. Beloved ones, this sword is God's sword. He has passed it to me from the heart of the mighty Elohim Hercules, and it has come down from the great central sun. It is a focus of the power of God, not the power, beloved ones, to keep men out of Eden, but the power to cut away from them those conditions which drove them forth from Eden to begin with. Therefore I say to you, if you will utilize this sword, the way back to paradise, the paradise lost, shall be regained, and you shall find your strength shining in the blue radiance of the will of God, as the love of God flowing through that holy will. By the power of illumination's flame blazes the mighty threefold flame depicted in the fleur-de-lis of Saint Germain, and mankind understand what it means to be children of God, to be potential masters, to be candidates for their ascension, to be chosen of God, to fulfill the divine will. Ladies and gentlemen, as you gaze upon those mountain ranges where my retreat is, recognize that I fly from there with the speed of the swiftest arrow to any place upon earth instantly in answer to your call. I am never further from you than your right hand, and therefore I say to you, try me out, prove me, and see if I will not answer your call. Beloved ones, mankind must have faith in Michael and faith in God. I say this to you not to set myself before God, but to call to your attention that if you would use the power of the archangels in their service of the light, you must call unto us, just as you call unto God. To simply say to God, "Oh God, help me," is not going to bring about a manifestation of my power, for I, by cosmic law, am bound to answer the call, and when you use my name, I shall answer that call, just as you respond when your name is called. And I tell you, beloved ones, before you make your ascension, a day will come in your life when a new name shall be given unto you, and that new name, your eternal and true name, shall be the call which shall sound forth from God within the great central sun, and then you shall rise as Christ did into the light from whence I am come this day. I thank you in God's holy name. Then I say, assert independence in the Goddess of Liberty's name, and be free. Ladies and gentlemen, may the peace of God, the peace of faith, the peace of the blue ray, anchor and posit its will in your hearts. I bid you good afternoon.
Love to you, dear Omnitas, from the Chant ye holy seraphim, chant ye holy seraphim, chant ye holy seraphim. Behold, O planet Earth, our love is pouring out to you from out the heart of the great violet planet. I, Omritas, stand now in the center of the mighty pool of light. I shall describe it to you that you may know the beauty of its wonder. This pool is 70 feet and circular. There is a shimmering, magnificent, yellow-colored water which flashes like electric sparks across the center of this pool. There are 7 circular steps which lead up to it. There are 7 columns around it. These are of white marble and rise high into the atmosphere. The canopy is quite naturally circular, and a beautiful flow of starry flames pours down from the center. This pool, then, which dwells upon the violet planet, stands in the center of a great amphitheater, where the priests assemble when we give our sacred invocations. I have chosen to describe this unto you, that you may receive somewhat the setting from whence I am speaking, and may realize the wonders of a civilization which is free from commercialization, from disharmony, from disunity, and all of those attendant causes of distress which your blessed planet presently does not enjoy. Peace to your beloved hearts, as I stand now upon a tiny white circular dais raised within the very center of this pool. I see beneath my feet this shimmering, beautiful, magnetic, yellow-colored water, which flashes with such iridescence and wonder that it is difficult to find words in your own language to describe it unto you. But I have given you somewhat a vague picture of it, and I am sure that your imagination, together with your own exalted consciousness, will serve to describe the balance to your mind and convey to you the picture which we are projecting to you. The marble platform which extends out around this beautiful center dome, temple of light, is a pale orange in color. It is set with many white stones sprinkled in it, and the entire effect is magnificent to behold. Many of the priests of our brotherhood here upon the violet planet are now lighting canisters, and this is the word that I believe in your language would best describe the particular and specific item which they are using, and these canisters are filled with a special form of electronic energy which releases a stream of violet light in such a manner as to highlight the entire sky and atmosphere around our temple. The color you see of the sky upon our planet is actually not violet. It is blue like your own. But in order to create the proper atmosphere in this outdoor setting, we utilize a special electromagnetic force field, whereby even in broad daylight we are able to project from these canisters focused around the central area of our temple, a radiant color of violet which fills the entire atmosphere with this violet. The effect of the violet reflected in the scintillating yellow pool is magnificent to behold, but there is a spiritual purpose that is conveyed in this magnificent symbol. For there is a special electromagnetic field which pulsates from the water to the top of the tower and enables us to amplify the violet flame in such a manner that throughout the length and breadth of our land, the homes of all of the people upon this planet receive a charge of violet fire in much the same manner that you convey your electrical current upon transmission lines. This violet fire can be contacted by our people and used on special instruments for combing their hair, for washing themselves, and for in other ways cleansing their homes. We adore the violet fire, and the violet fire adores us, serving us very well. And therefore tonight it has been requested by beloved Portia of your own great karmic board that we shall release the power of the violet fire from our planet to the planet Earth, in hope that the beneficiaries of our radiation will be those chelas who request from the great karmic board a release and cessation of the karma which they have builded through the centuries. You have called forth, beloved and benign ones, violet fire for many years. Archangel Zadkiel, who frequently visits our planet, has told us of the tremendous calls which have been made by the people of earth who are familiar with the law of Saint Germain's freedom flame and the violet flame. And we are wholly in compassion with the need for your people to share this great blessing. Therefore accept from my hands as a gift of divine love the resurgent power of the violet flame projected toward the earth. Magnificent violet fire angels from Saint Germain's own band have volunteered to blaze a path through cosmic highways toward the earth planet and to focus it, beloved ones, upon your nation's capital, to which this sanctuary is so proximate. Beloved ones, the charge of violet fire shall utilize the Capitol dome as an electrode, and it shall radiate out as from a great hub throughout the entire planet known as Earth. Every chela of Saint Germain upon this planet shall be blessed with the radiation which we shall pour forth. Chanto seraphim, chanto seraphim, chanto seraphim, chanto seraphim, chanto seraphim, chanto seraphim, chanto seraphim. And now, beloved priests of the violet planet, I, Omritas, say unto you, release your mighty power of light and build up the force field upon this great electrode of light, that the people of earth may be blessed this night with all of the beauty of the violet flame which we can release and convey to them. Beloved ones, I would describe to you the scene, for there is a dancing now taking place within this beautiful column temple in which I stand. My body is scarcely visible. The pulsations of this golden flame rise high up into the atmosphere. and the scintillating sparks of light from the central dome are pouring down now as a giant waterfall of light. We utilize this golden flame in stimulating and releasing the power of the violet flame. And those who are familiar with the chemistry of universal law will understand how this is so. I shall not describe this process to you at this time. There is a hum that is now beginning to manifest around the temple. The charge is building up to tremendous proportions. Release in God's name to the planet Earth the full power and intensity of this great cosmic light. The gift is bestowed. The priests now, with shining faces, are all turning toward me, for they had their backs toward me, which I did not tell you before during this great release, and their hands extended outward and upward. To complete our great experiment of light, we shall now form beautiful, magnificent spheres of violet flame, and we are going to roll them down this cosmic highway in much the manner of a bowler attempting to knock down bowling pins, but we shall hit our mark. There are 144,000 of these spheres. Each one of the priests of the sacred fire here has one in command. These shall be released for the next 12 hours, and each one shall come down the same highway of light. We projected the great release of violet flame. When these violet flame spheres contact the capital of your nation, they too shall shatter and diffuse and create a repetition of the same first charge, for these were specially prepared for this purpose. The reason the charge shall be the same is because the release which we made a few moments ago is sufficient insofar as the violet flame substance is concerned to mix with the radiation of each of these spheres and produce the self-same results in each case. Therefore, for the next 12 hours, there shall be a continual release, spaced by cosmic law, a violet flame from this planet. Ladies and gentlemen, friends of freedom, friends of Saint Germain, friends of your own mighty I Am Presence, may I convey to the planet Earth the love, the compassion, and the longing of our people to see you in your freedom by the proper use of the violet flame of Saint Germain. He is well known here, honored and loved. He came here long ago. Many, many years ago, Saint Germain came here and formed with us a friendship of undying quality. Melchizedek, priest of Salem, spent over 144 years upon this planet, and we have been host to many of Earth's people while their bodies sleep. I now wish to drop upon you a gentle mantle of peace, that your souls this night may sleep in a compassionate universe, a universe from which is removed all sting, all pain, all sorrow, all anger, all vanity, a universe in which the violet fire rules supreme, wiping away all tears, all sorrow, and all conditions less than the great central sun magnetism, the compassion of the sacred fire. In God's holy name, and with the spirit of the benign upon our planet, I, Om Ritas, wish thee, one and all, a pleasant night of rest. God bless thee. I thank you and bid you good evening. The Chelas from Darjeeling, although not anticipated upon this program, beloved ones, welcome from our hearts in the name of God, as the cedars of Lebanon rose of old, so the souls of those Chelas who hold their devotion inviolate remains as a living temple of God, a forest of men and women pointing toward heaven. You shall reach to the stars. You are a true guided missile that beams through the night, reaching those celestial realms where mankind shall be guided by the trail which you have blazed before you. I commend you tonight unto the keeping of your own mighty God presence, and to that sacred shepherd of the sheep, your own holy Christ self, who shall guard you well while you slumber and sleep. For he that keepeth all that is real about you shall neither slumber nor sleep, but shall hold you in safety forever. Precious ones, this conference is blessed by our presence. We appreciate much the fact that you have enjoyed our encyclical. It is now in your hands and in the keeping of the great cosmic host. For although it is in your hands, it remains much a part of heaven's own hands. As the bread of angels, it provides a spiritual solution to many human ills. It is our hope that you will partake of this Eucharist, and that humanity will be leavened by the great spiritual presence that manifests within its enfolded pages. I thank you. I bid you welcome to Darjeeling's palaces. I bid you to receive our hospitality extended to you here. May the eternal presence from the lamps of God swinging in the heavens, permeated by the sweet censers of the angelic host, compass you round about with such an outpouring wave of love that there shall be no room in the inn of your being for a lesser manifestation. Heed this admonishment, and ye shall live in happiness. I thank you.
I love you truly, truly, dear. Life with its sorrow, life with its tear, fades into dreams when I feel you are near. For I love you truly, truly, dear. Our love, 'tis something to feel your kind hand.
Ah, yes, 'tis something by your side to stand.
Gone is the sorrow,
Gone doubt and fear, for you love me truly.
truly, dear. I love you truly, truly, dear. Life with its sorrow, life with its tear, fades into dreams when I feel you are near. For I love you truly, truly, dear.
And precious ones of God's devotional heart, how priceless is the treasure of welcome, to be able to greet in the spirit of divine friendship those ladies and gentlemen who in courtly conduct understand the meaning of divine love, translated into active participation in the affairs of mankind and in the affairs of heaven. These truly have one hand in heaven and one hand upon earth. The earth has ever been enriched by the lives of such as these, and I salute you then, ladies and gentlemen, who truly have devoted yourselves to the calling of the ascended masters. For reason of that devotion of your hearts, and for reason of your determination to not let anything stand in your way, as you pursue the self-same path that many of us, considered by mankind today as artists, did. Beloved ones, the turmoil of the outer world frequently becomes most discouraging to the sensitive at heart. And as they recoil from the currents of turbulence and disturbance which manifest in the outer world of form, they sometimes tend to seek the quietness of the monastic life. They yearn to find their peace in a cloister apart from the world, where the stillness of the halls is broken only by the murmurs of prayer, and the atmosphere is penetrated only by the sweet fragrance of incense rising as to heaven. Some of these dear hearts, having come apart from the world and entered into the silence and bliss of this monastic life, have found that all was not quietude or peace there, for they found that they carried with them there the turmoil and conditions which were indeed of the outer world. The conditions were in their own consciousness, and they found that they could not shed it even after 20 years of living apart. Others have had a reverse situation, beloved ones. There have been those who have thoroughly enjoyed the world, who were, for reasons best known to God and the great karmic board, suddenly thrust apart from the world contrary to their will, and conveyed by reason of inheritance, position, or even ill health, to some distant place apart from the crowd, there to find the tragedy, as they termed it, of aloneness. Some of you have heard the ascended masters, such as myself in the past, refer to the all-oneness rather than the aloneness. And it is this experience which all must come to, the ability to find within themselves the quiet peace of divine dominion that is able to encompass in consciousness the wonders and glories of the world, and when face to face with temptation, either in the desert with all of its despair of aloneness, or upon the mountain top of vision where they perceive the glories of the world, these are able to hold inviolate the divine principles of heaven's law, and mold within their character, firmly implanted by the Creator's master touch, those qualities which shape their ends to be of greatest service to the hierarchy and to the great white brotherhood. I would like to point out that the vocational leanings of mankind pertaining to spiritual vocations are so frequently charged with human emotion. Individuals, of course, have strong feelings about their own calling, and this is understandable because callings are from God, and callings are from the world and from the outer self. Mankind must learn to distinguish between the callings that are from the earth, earthy, and those callings which are heavenly in nature. As the blessed Christ's discrimination of understanding is revealed to the silent heart, waiting upon the gentle ministrations of the divine presence, there comes a peace stealing into the consciousness which tells the then turbulent life stream prior to its quieting attitude that all is well, for it does not make any difference. So long as there is a sense of struggle, the individual feels, shall I turn to the right or shall I turn to the left? And it is this sense of struggle, as beloved Saint Germain has told you, that makes the struggle. And so you continue to feel oppressed, and you continue to feel pressed to make a decision, favorable or unfavorable, but born of some hidden necessity which seems to drive you onward. This is not always the part of wisdom. Sometimes the secret of solving your problems is not so much to make a decision when you are uncertain, but to rest in the peace of the moment and await the hour of revelation. Now I speak to you because of some of the canvases which I created. There were times when I felt pressed through the need for my livelihood to create on canvas some wondrous object that mankind might be able to glory in it. And yet I was driven in a sense to a pensive mood whereby I could create at will a masterpiece, only to find that when I come to create it, the inspirational spark was not present, and I found it could not be invoked, and I found that the harder I tried, the more difficult became the decision as to just what I should paint. For I could not paint a commonplace item. It must be stirring and magnificent. This, then, is why I so well understand how the human heart of man, at various times when the crossroads of life seem particularly difficult, stand in wonder and amazement as to just which way they shall turn. Beloved ones, at times such as those, I myself, finding that I was indeed stymied, ceased to resist the condition, and not with a sense of indifference or aloofness or despair, but with a sense of realization that God works in strange ways, mysterious and wondrous to perform His will, I determined to cease and desist in the struggle, and to rest in His compassionate consciousness, knowing that with the tides of time I would find an answer to the searching and probing question of the hour. And then my peace came in great flowing waves. And with the coming of my peace and my quietude, there was re-established a contact between myself and those masterful divine beings who ensouled in my pictures the very essence of their own life. My angelic friends of light, those messengers of hope who guided my hand in its craftsmanship and artistry, were able to express then in the stilled muscular control that which they could never do when the tensions of the hour took their toll over my mortal frame. I urge, therefore, all of the students to recognize that there is a time to tense and a time to relax, that there is a time to pray and a time to wait, that there is a time to be devotional and a time to repose in God's devotion. I would like to remind all who are here that after you have poured out all of your love to God, according to the capacity of your own souls, that is the hour when you should await expectantly to receive the love of God back in return. It is as though an emptiness comes to you, for you have given your all, and then that all comes back to you, charged with His love. The love of God flows in mighty ways, sweeping o'er you as the beating sea against the cliffs of being, and the foam intrigues your consciousness as its breakers of many patterns unfold, multitudinous and wondrous spraylets of beauty. O beloved ones, the wonders of God come from the infinite ocean of His being. During the trials of obscurity, when the so-called dark night of the soul trembles upon the consciousness, mankind must cognize the knowledge of the coming dawn. But they must not cognize that dawn with tension, as though they would invoke the dawn. For the dawn will come without human interference or invocation. The dawn will come with a quietness and power and majesty, stealing over the very horizons of life. Its light upon the mountain tops will illumine each hill and clearly delineate each tree, until those forms which are traced before the waiting vision will stir the heart with such God beauty as cannot be put into words by anyone. The silent beauty, the majestic feelings of grandeur which flood into the soul of mankind, this is more wonderful than ever has been painted by any human hand. Even we, in our octave, are no substitute for the natural and magnificent power of God in His allness, manifesting to those waiting to receive Him. Millions of individuals in times past have journeyed to sit at the feet of great yogi teachers in the Far East. Some, and I say few, have entered the retreats and temples of the Great White Brotherhood. All of the wonders of the teachings of yoga in those eras when those teachings were so prevalent to mankind never could be a substitute for the fullness of the Great White Brotherhood teachings. For the teachings of yoga are a part of the knowledge of divine union, and the whole must be fit together. It is like a giant jigsaw puzzle, and I refer here to the mysteries of religion and the mysteries of life, the mysteries of mankind's journey in seeking back the pathway to the divine source. There is not one answer, beloved ones, that can be revealed to mankind save the answer of the divine self. Man then who knows himself, man know thyself, is ever the victor, and the human creation is ever the vanquished. The vanquished foe is the very children of your own creation. You yourselves, at one time or another, have created the phantoms which face you in the present and which have faced you in the past. It is true that by the interaction of great cosmic forces and human forces too, working in this great alchemical laboratory of the schools of earth, mankind have created karmic conditions toward one another which must be set aside. But mankind need not be detained by those conditions, and their freedom need not be ultimately delayed. it can manifest much sooner than mankind might dream of, if they will give to their own God presence the preeminence and opportunity of working out their salvation within them. I do not say that there are not moments when you must place your hands upon the wheel. The captain of life, as he steers the ship of life over the raging sea, will turn to the young disciple and say to the disciple of the soul, O soul, I am the ancient mariner. You have watched the steadying of my hand upon the wheel of life. You have observed my movements as I have coped with the fury of the storm. Take now your hands, O gentle Chela. Place your hands upon the wheel of life fearlessly, for you shall stand this watch. And then, when the turmoil becomes too great, and the individual can no longer avoid or refrain from crying out for mercy and assistance, the call goes forth, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And so the wondrous presence of life, taking command, brings forth the resurrection miracle, and the soul is raised again, and the hand of God steadies the wheel until the time comes when the Chela can once again perform the act of mastering the seas and the furies of life and obtaining the glories of victory. I have spoken much on artistry in the past. I have spoken much of beauty. Today I am speaking to the souls of men, of the means whereby they may paint a picture of divine merit in their own lives by accepting the challenges of the hour and by mastering those challenges with God victorious freedom, with God victorious adoration, with God's victorious divine love. Divine love then flows forth from my heart this day, and it flows forth that I might instruct you, one and all, in the mysteries of developing a world consciousness, and then in understanding that you are given dominion over that consciousness. While I am speaking to you, night falls upon a part of the earth. The sun is going down, and mankind are kneeling in prayer. The bells of evening are tolling in parts of the world. In other parts of the world the sun is rising and dawn is breaking. The cathedrals of the world ring out the signals of the hours at various times, and the hearts of men in many climes, in many races, and many faces struggle against seemingly overwhelming odds. It is well if you think of other people in other lands. One of the wonders of your own century is the travel by air, whereby in one day you are able to cover so much of the earth's territory, and in landing to find yourselves in strange places with new faces and the miracle of life all around you. As you travel then in these places, when you return to your home, your consciousness is different, and some who have suffered either nervousness or disease have found that through travel they have effectually cured themselves. Have they stopped to inquire why this is so? It is because of the dissemination of divine love and the dissemination of interest. Too many people, beloved ones, become so inverted towards their own personality that they fail to actually hold on to the captain's hand as he attempts to guide them and show them during their watch at the helm how to steer a straight course. In their trembling and fear, they fail to recognize the omnipresence of God and His extreme willingness to guide them. All these conditions then create tension, and tension effectively closes the door to divine assistance. Divine assistance comes through a relaxing of tension, through a resting in the arms of divine mercy, through an accepting of the gift of true divine love. O beloved ones, how can you imagine that God, whose concern for a sparrow is great, would not care for thee, each one? How can you imagine that He is not concerned, that He is aloof, that He is afar off, when He has drawn nigh again and again, only to be repulsed by human tension? Tension, beloved ones, is so related to attention. By turning your attention to your source, you may find your freedom, but too many find that they must turn their attention towards their source and then continually do so. They do not recognize that having once faced the mighty light of God, they may then relax and let the light bear them up. It is as though individuals would reach up to the master mariner and guide his hand in preference to letting him guide theirs. This is why, as I am speaking to you today of the wonders of soul artistry, I am advocating that more and more you come to put into practice this principle, which is so simple, so sweet, so loving, and so kind. It is kind to yourself, and it is kind to your fellow men. For while errors will occur in the course of a day, the mitigation of those errors will come more swiftly as the hand of God is more evident upon your own. It cannot be evident there unless you encourage it. God will not resist if you push His hand away, even though you do not know that it is His hand that you push. Beloved ones, God is love. You have heard it said, but divine love is not intrusion. God does not intrude upon a closed door. Remember the words, I am the open door which no man can shut. You yourselves have shut the door frequently. No divine manifestation can shut the door, beloved ones. No man can shut. But do you understand that human free will can close the door? Do you understand how to break the Scriptures, the bread of life, so that you do understand the inner meaning of that which is spoken? There are so many Scriptures which are not thoroughly understood. Mankind wrestle with them as Jacob wrestled with the angel, and they do not find all the answers, but they continue to seek to do so. Never contend, beloved ones, in earthly contention over these matters. If men are convinced that a law is right, you cannot change them by a word. It is true, however, that the receptive ones will ask. Those who are determined that they are right will tell you. Beloved ones, your own divine presence is your friend. Friendship with God has been listed in the Scriptures as enmity with the world. This does not mean that you are to be an enemy to mankind. It means, beloved ones, that friendship with God, your own mighty I Am Presence, will find enmity in the world of human creation which is contrary to the laws of God, which you yourselves have ignorantly created. It means, therefore, that you are an enemy to a part of yourself, a part of your creation, and it means that this part must be transmuted, and the middle wall of partition must be broken down. The veil in the temple of being must be rent in twain, and man must obtain entrance into the Holy of Holies within his own heart, that he may see the flame of life blazing there and assimilate from it the necessary guidance that shall secure for him the rights of life, of liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. O my beloved, master thyself. Master God control. Do not give vent to displays of temper or anger or anxiety or fear or confusion. See the guiding hand of God assuring you of your eternal liberty. This, our masterful goddess of liberty, has outpictured for all time for mankind, for the three Americas and for the world. The goddess holds high her torch. Ladies and gentlemen, will you join me now in holding up your own right hand in honor of the goddess of liberty right where you sit? Hold high your torch. You hold high now the symbol in your hand, but will you pledge it to God as a recognition of His guiding light through the night of being? Will you let Him guide you as you attempt to execute a work of service according to the divine design? Will you have the wise master builder for your own instructor? Then accept God's liberty and be free. This is your own gift from God's heart. Lower your hands, beloved ones, and bring it before your heart. Clench your fist very tightly for a moment until you almost squeeze the moisture out of the center of your hand. Hold it there for a moment and see how little could be placed in your hand. Now extend your hands and open them. Form them into cups. Recognize now, beloved ones, that the light that is in the pitcher of being must be smashed in the name of the Lord, as Gideon of old. Break the pitcher, and the light that is in you must shine and be not neglected. Place in your hands now the consecrated gift of God's own Holy Eucharist, the manna that came down from heaven. Think for a moment that you are a part of God, a wonderful part of the divine whole. Materialize in your consciousness the manna. Take your other hand, reach down into your hand, and lift this manna to your lips. Take, eat. This is my body, which was broken for you. hold your hands out now and receive the chalice. Bring the holy grail of being to your lips. In this holy grail of being is the wine of the New Testament, the new wine of spiritual devotion that makes of the body of God upon earth one. Though men drink the communion of our Lord 1,000,000 times, unless they partake of the reality of this body and of this life, they have no life in them. Drink ye then the cup of immortal life, the elixir that comes from God's own hand. As Christ fed the multitudes by the sea, so have I today given you substance of eternal substance. Discern the body of God, and you shall find such change affecting your lives as shall make you a part forever of the mystical body of Christ. I, Paul, have given you this afternoon my concept of the world cup, of the cup of world unity, of the cup of spirituality, of the methodology by which you may obtain for yourself a greater measure of divinity from God's own hand. I shall stand in the higher ethers with others of the ascended Master, and lovingly wait to behold your ascension. But I shall wait first for those first acts which must precede that ascension. The results of this consecration today, and the results of each day's consecration. Ladies and gentlemen, in the holy name of that wonderful spiritual brotherhood, in the holy name of that compassionate presence of life, I say with all my heart, I thank you.